Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Teresa Lisum, and this is my delightful and amazing guest co-host, Holli Shan, and we're evolving women. I'm evolving. You're evolving. We're all evolving, and we're going to help each other to evolve here today. Our intention is to fill the world with uplifting messages, new perspectives, tools, resources, maybe some wellness ideas, some mindset and self-belief options and resources. And we're just here to give you permission to be your best self and live your best life. So welcome. We're so glad you're here. So welcome to another episode. And Holli, I'm so delighted that you're here. It's just an intriguing thing that you do. And I want to introduce our viewers and our listeners to this, and then talk about your path of how you got to where you're at today. Because we all seem to think that a path to our success, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like, is like a straight shot. And it's not. It's like a
Right.
boom, boom, whoop, back up a little bit, boom, forward, over here, over there. So I'm always fascinated how people have gotten to the point in their life that they're at, or their job, or their business. It's always a fun journey that I love to hear about. So you are an animal communicator and a show
Mhm.
dog coach,
Yep.
which you don't really run into too many people like that, I might say. So that's what's just so fascinating about this. But I would love for you to share how you got to this point and what maybe started you on that path.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Teresa. I'm just so delighted to be here. Yeah, so with intuitive animal communication, it's funny because I just wanted to understand my own pets, you know.
Speaking of
I have
which,
my
there's one there.
yes. Yeah, my dog has still hasn't figured out that when I'm on a Zoom call that um it does not always include him. So
Why
so
not, Mom?
if he hears squeaking, he might decide to come up on my lap. So,
Okay. That's
but
fine.
yeah,
It'd be delightful to have them.
but yeah, so I really just wanted to understand my own pets. I saw my dogs looking at me and I knew they were trying to tell me something, but I wasn't getting it. I didn't know. And I'm sure so many people have had that experience. Well, my pets are looking at me and I don't know what they want. Do not know what they
Mhm.
want. And so through my network of friends here, they introduced me to an animal communicator who was in the area and who was also teaching. A wonderful lady by the name of Janet Dobbs. And so I took her basic animal communication class, and I practiced with anybody and everybody who would listen. And and I loved it. And I said, let's more? What else do you have to offer? And so I pretty much took everything that Janet had to offer. Any class, any advanced things, stuff like that, because you're always learning. And this is coming from somebody, I mean, prefaces, I've always been that diehard animal lover. I've always been, the one to stop and, look at the squirrels and oh, and hey, look at the bunny and there's a deer across the way. And where we lived, because I'm originally from Philadelphia, where we lived, there was a park across the street, and occasionally I'd see people riding horses across the street,
Mm.
and I would, stop and look because that was me, and I always
Mhm.
wanted to have that deeper connection to, of communication with them, and um, and so I learned, and so I started learning roughly about 2006 was when I started learning, and really just for personal use, just to communicate with my animals, the animals around me, things like that. And after I had taken everything that Janet had to offer at the time, I kept asking her, "So what's next? Where do I get to live? What else can you teach me? I want to learn more." And
Mhm.
she said, "Okay, I have taught you everything that I have. Now it's time for you to go to my teacher, who is Penelope Smith, quite literally the grande dame of the animal
Mm.
communication field, because she literally wrote the book on intuitive animal communication." And so I did some advanced work with her. out in Arizona, which
Mhm.
I love Arizona. And
Mm.
it was just, it's really just an amazing transformative experience to do that because we all have this ability to do it. Everybody has this ability. It's just at some point along the way, society has said that's not possible.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of people who have said, you're wrong. Yes, it is. And I'm going to do it. Um, and so for some people, they've always had it. I've always been in touch with it. I've always nurtured it. And they, and they continue to communicate with, with the animal kingdom. Um, in spite of what society says. Um, but after that, it's like, no, no, it's true. It's true. It does because everybody can do it if they're willing to listen and willing to take that time to sit and be quiet. Because the whole thing about intuitive communication in general is you need to be in a state of, I want to say balance, in that state of focus, in that state of being grounded and being quiet. Don't try to don't listen, like, you don't wanna listen with the intention to reply. You wanna listen with the intention of hearing, of getting
Mhm.
it and being
Mhm.
open to it without having an expectation of what they might say, of what either the other person or the animal might say or might be thinking. So, and so we did that, and roughly about 2009 or so, was when, after some soul searching, I brought it on as a billable service because I had a law of attraction coach at the time, and she said, if you want your business to be self-sustaining, you need to do something that's not so geographically centered. Because also at the time I had a massage business for horses and dogs, but I can only go but so far, and it
Mhm.
wasn't it
Mhm.
wasn't really sustainable. And so with intuitive communication, with animal communication, I don't have to be there. The animal does not have to be in front of me, although I do ask for a picture, because that's my better way to focus. I mean, there are some animal communicators who can do it with just simply a description, or they can say their name, their name and their age and their breed,
Mhm.
and that's fantastic that they learned how to do that. That's just not my flavor. That's not how I do it,
Mhm.
and it's one of those things where I think even you know even if I never ever got paid for it, I would still do this.
Shh.
Yeah. But that's one thing though. It's like I wake up and I get to do this.
Mm.
I've learned how to do it. I get to work with people and their animals, and it's just, to me, it's just the best thing in the world. And I love meeting new species, um, getting to communicate with new species. Like, uh I had a colleague who did parrot rescue, and she
Mm.
had 9 gorgeous, gorgeous parrots, all different species of parrots in her house. And I said, "Can I just come over and just be with them?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I've never been with that many birds
Uh-huh.
in one space." And she said, "Absolutely." And so I came over, and just to be in their presence. The presence of these amazing animals
Mm.
is really quite extraordinary. And the macaws were just different from the cockatoos. Cockatoos are so very emotional, like they need contact. Cockatoos they need the cuddling, they need that companionship.
Wow.
Um, and they're just amazing beings. So, sorry, I go off on tangents
No, that's
sometimes about
okay. I
that.
love hearing that. Can you share what you learned from those being with those birds other than cockatoos need extra attention and loving?
Yeah, there is, I mean, with all communication, you do need a kind of groundedness.
Mm-hmm.
You always need to have that sort of focus. But with the birds, there's a gentleness, a softness that you need to have when you're with them. Um, like being able to hand one of the bigger birds, some peanuts. You know, you can just gently hand it to them, and they'll take
Mm-hmm.
it from you gently. And it's
Mm-hmm.
being able to, and it's the space of, yeah, it's the space of softness, of gentleness and
Mm-hmm.
love, which is incredibly different when you are dealing with and communicating with a dog or a cat or let's just okay, a predator
Yeah, I
versus
bet.
versus a prey animal, like the
Hmm.
communication with my horse is also different from also again communicating with the birds because their whole vibe, their whole energy is different and it's very, soft and just very airy as you might
Of
imagine.
course. Of course.
But yeah, so the learning with that is to really being able to settle down and just keeping things soft, soft and gentle and easy, but still maintaining your focus and
Mm.
your groundedness.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. I love birds. We have bird feeders outside that we could see, and one on the window, and I just delight seeing them. So it makes sense to me that they're light and delicate and airy and softness. That makes perfect sense to me. But thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. And this might sound really unusual to people who can't even fathom that this is even possible. And I love that you said that anybody could do it. And we'll swing back around to that. But, that's almost like mind blowing. But I'm sure there's so many animal lovers that wish they could understand their pets more. And this might be something to explore for them, something to experiment with, or get in touch with somebody like you. And just knowing that you're out there and available, that they can use, come to you and ask you to figure out what's happening, or again, try it themselves. I love that. It is almost mind-blowing. Like, can we actually wrap our head around this concept? It might be difficult, but sit with it, be open to it, and just see where it goes.
Absolutely. And in fact, my one of my other teachers, Nancy Windhart, she always says that being able to communicate intuitively is our birthright.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely our birthright. And yes, everybody can do it because you have to understand the animal kingdom is are is filled with thinking, feeling sentient beings. All the animals are thinking, feeling sentient beings who have their own opinions about the world around
Mm,
them in the bodies that they have.
mm. And
So
and that could help us understand and have more respect for the natural world and the earth itself and all of the beings that inhabit it and share it with us. If
mhm,
everybody thought like that, like you just shared with us and understood that, they would hopefully think twice about, I don't know, hunting, although I don't want to go down that path, but or
overdevelopment.
something, like harassing a pet, or something like that, and
Right.
just extend that respect outward from. It's not just humans that deserve that; it's animals and plants and the earth, and it's just gets a bigger and bigger sphere or circle outward. Um, so yeah, I'm loving this. I am going to ask you what those around you felt about the path you were taking.
Oh wow. So my I when I first started taking the classes, just for my own, for my own education, like I said, to
Mm-hmm.
understand my own pets, everybody around me was like, okay, well, yeah, yeah, go ahead, whatever. Then
Mm-hmm.
when I brought it on as a billable service, as in something, this is going to be my business, the first thing I said to my coach was, how am I going to bring this intangible thing
Mm-hmm.
to my business networking world and have them take it seriously?
Yeah.
And she said, do you take it seriously? And I said, yes, 100%. And she said, that's how you present it.
Mm.
You say, instead of, you know, shrinking away from, yeah, I'm an animal communicator. It's standing up and saying it,
Mm-hmm.
saying it proudly and with that strength that, yes, this is what I do. Now, where I tripped myself up was I wanted to tell people the whole scope of everything I could do, which also meant communicating with animals who had passed.
Mm,
And
mhm,
so, and I would go into it and I would tell people, yeah, and I can communicate with them even if they're dead.
mm.
And that threw some people off a little
Yeah, I
bit, and
bet.
there are still some people that were saying, "Oh, so you're a dog trainer?" No, no, I am not a dog trainer. And so what I wound up
Mm,
telling people is I'm not like Caesar Milan, but more like Dr. Doolittle, if you want to think about it that way.
I
I
love
still
that.
I still have to tell that to people because some people just still don't get it.
Mhm.
Um, and so as a profession, I mean, I mean, there are some family members that still like joke around because of course your family is going to kid around with you and stuff about it and say, "Oh, so
Mhm.
how do you talk to this? And how do you talk to this? And what's my dog saying?" It's like, "Well, your dog is saying she'd really love to be able to spend some more time with you. Stop spending so much time at work." But
And that
you
might
know,
not, yeah, sit well with some people. Yeah.
right, right, exactly.
Mhm.
So, so in terms of, I mean, going to it's funny because when I was younger, I was the one who always asked about the friends and families animals instead of other friends and family members. And I was told that no, no, that people are more important. And then I would sit there and go, no, 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 they're not. In my head, I'm sitting there saying, no, they're
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
So, and I think people thought that I would grow out of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, air quotes that I would grow out of it. And no, I didn't. And so as I kept going and really kept going and kept moving forward with it, um, through the pinball arcade way of, going through it, because you're right, it is very much like a swirly kind of maze or labyrinth or pinball machine, kind of thing,
Mhm.
because it is never a straight line. Um, yeah, some people laugh, but also you develop a bit of a thick skin to it.
Mhm.
People would see me at pet expos because I'd set up my booth to offer small sessions for people, and they would sit there and go, "Huh, mm,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah.
I am not attached to it, and so I had to
Mhm.
learn to not be attached to so many other people's opinions about what I do, because
Mm.
ultimately, I mean, this is my work.
Mhm.
They're not doing my work. I'm doing my work.
Mhm.
So how I feel about it is what matters. And there's a lot of oh, what do you call it? There's a lot of self-discovery, self-work,
Mhm. Mhm. Oh,
that
yeah.
the personal
Oh,
development that goes along
yes.
with that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, to this day, I'll still get some people that look at me askance and go, "Okay, nice to meet you." You know?
Well, that's just a reflection of where they are at
That's
in
right.
their world and their beliefs and, what they hold true. So it's easy to judge them, but
Yep.
we do have to give them grace. They're just working with what they know and believe. And
That's right.
hopefully being exposed to you, you're just planting a little seed. Maybe they scoffed at you this time, but maybe the next time they'll be like, oh, well, my dog's been a little depressed lately. So I'm guessing they eventually might come around, but you're being bold enough and owning who you are and what you bring to the table. And if they're open for it at this point in time, awesome. If they're not, you're again at least giving them permission to open their minds a little bit to
Right.
something new that they never
Right.
considered before.
Right. I did
I
actually
love
have
that.
somebody it was funny because, there was a time where I offered both massage and animal communication equally on the same business card, and it was a very busy business card. And as I was giving voice to both of them, I remember being in one networking group, and there was one woman in there came up to me and she said, "I'd stick with the massage and not do the animal communication because that sounds a little weird."
Wow.
And she was the only one who ever said that to me, and I just looked at her and I said, "No, sorry,
Mm,
no."
Wow. And there are people that would have taken her opinion and
Mhm.
maybe changed their path and what they were doing.
Right.
But I love that you said you just have to have a thick skin. You have to learn to, that's not the opinion that I want to beholden to. I don't know if that's
Right.
a good way of saying it, but, be discerning as to whose opinions you're going to respect. And
Right.
again, she was showing that she did not understand it. She did not believe in it. And
Mhm.
hopefully she has come around since then. But yeah, the whole thing about taking things personally, that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah.
But I just love this whole concept that you kept going and you got yourself to the point of being bold and owning and stepping into the gifts that you have, despite what everybody else may have been saying or a few other people were saying. And again, that's a journey we all have to follow, and we have to decide for ourselves. Do we believe and are we passionate enough about it to stick with it and keep on going? Because it can be a lonely path, whether you're an animal
Yep.
communicator or a strengths coach such as myself or
Mhm.
whoever. Like we're holding to a vision and moving towards that. And there may be a lot of people with us and there may not, but
That's right. That's right. And it's fun. And it's and to this day, I mean, there are things, I mean, I still do like when like everything ebbs and flows and there's always, the zenith of your circle and then when you're at the valley, of your circle, or
mhm,
your the cyclical nature of things. And for me, journaling has helped a lot, like asking the
mm,
questions like, am I even really supposed to be doing this? And because we have those days, as entrepreneurs, we have those days. And so being able to journal that out was, has been important. And also I have quite a few friends who are very gifted tarot readers. And so every now and again, I would check in with them and say, you know, please give me a general reading, with regards to business, with regards to doing this. And every one of them said, keep going. You keep
mm.
going. So it's one of those things, I mean, because I love my tarot readers. I love my little, divination systems. And I love being able to check in like that because, you want to be able to have those points just as a self check. I'm sure there's a different word for it, but as a way to be able to check in with yourself and check in with everything and saying, okay, am I supposed to still be doing this?
Mhm.
Because, and that's so critical, especially when you're in the valley,
Mhm.
especially when you're in that depressive valley. Maybe things aren't moving for you, or
Mhm.
maybe it feels like things have just dried up, or maybe you're just in that funk.
Oh,
And at
yeah.
that, and when you're in that funk, it's like, okay, what are the tools that you have available to you
Mhm.
to help bring yourself out of it? So being able to have some kind of support system around you, whether if you have gifted psychics that are around you, someone who is an amazing wall to bounce ideas off of,
Mhm.
just to sit there and go yada 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 yada, and they can listen. And sometimes when you hear it, then you go, oh, wait a second, I just said that. What am I believing here? You know, and so and so after, and through time and experience, you you start to have faith in your own ability, like have faith in like, yes, I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
doing this. Yes, this is how I am serving people. And also just be careful to not get trapped into the believing your own hype, because that's where, because you don't want to fall into the hubris, over
Mhm.
ego
Right, right.
trap. And and I work at that because I know there are others out there who are different than I am, and it's always critical to be even keeled, to stay in that balance and say, okay, you know what, this is a service that I offer, and other people have proved, my clients, have
Mhm.
proven to me, have given me the feedback about, about that what I do is good work.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That feedback is golden, you
oh,
just hold
absolutely.
it, embrace it, and it confirms and validates and keeps you going.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
yeah, just for listeners and viewers, you ever have good feedback, a good testimonial for somebody, please share it with them because it means the
Absolutely.
world to them. Yeah.
Tell them, write the Google review, or send it to
Mm-hmm.
them in writing so they can put it on
Mm-hmm.
their, on their social media, or send a
Mm-hmm.
video clip,
Mm.
and let them post that, on Instagram. So absolutely feedback absolutely is golden and is huge, for people, for sure.
Yeah. And I was a teacher for a very long time, thousands of kids over the years. And when I got an occasional positive feedback, it's just like, oh my God, like I just held on to it for a very, very long time because, kids don't really do that stuff. And even adults don't think to tell somebody if they've, appreciated their service or whatever they just happen to do for them. So yeah, feel free to be very free and complimentary to people who are serving you at their highest level. We need to be grateful and appreciate that. And again, let them know. This has been, I
100%.
have so many things here that I've jotted down. I would love to continue this conversation, but I think we probably should wrap it up for now so that we don't go too lengthy, although we could. And I would like to offer you a one more chance if you have anything else you want to share for this particular episode, something that might, allow our viewers and our listeners to maybe take a step for themselves. Do you have anything to offer there, Holly?
Sure. So one of the things, just real quick, and I'll wrap this in here as well. One of the other things that I do is I service folks who are in the dog show world, because I'm a show dog coach for the people who are what are known as owner handlers, and lots of times, their dog might not be performing as well as they want to, and a lot of times it may not always necessarily be about the dog. It's okay, what's going on with the person? Are
Mhm.
they super stressed? Are they having a bad day? Are they not feeling well? Because these things travel down the leash to the dog.
Mm,
So what I would suggest to everybody listening, if you want to get started with this, or maybe you started and kind of fell by the wayside, with regards to being, to really open up that intuition, that connection with your animals, see where you're at. Take
mm,
that breath. Take that breath, ground down to your feet, feel the ground, feel yourself centered, clear out anything else that's there, and really just be open. And it's okay to look at your animal, look at your favorite animal companion and say, you know what? I am open. Hi. I am
mm,
open to what you have to say, and practice at it. So
practice.
it's
Yeah.
oh yeah, 100%. You can't, sometimes it happens straight away. Most of the time you need to do it a few times.
I love that. Well, I wish I had a pet now so I could go try this, but I don't. I've
You
had
can
them in the
try
past.
try it
And
try it with the birds that visit you.
that's a very good point. I will do that. But I love this. I love what you've shared with us today. I want to thank you so much. I hope our viewers and our listeners found this is enlightening as I have and as insightful. And I want to thank you so much, Holly, for being here and sharing yourself with us today.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for
Okay.
having me. It's been wonderful.
Okay, thanks everybody. We will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.